If you look at the experiences that we have in our lives, hungry for security, hunger for pleasure, or hunger for control, the vast majority of lives on this planet are living only between these three experiences. But humanity's experiences definitely is not limited to this. We have the sages who have lived thousands of years ahead of us, who have meditated, explored consciousness, pushed their boundaries. You are this beautiful soul capable of incredible love flooding your heart, experiencing states of oneness where you feel that you are the entire universe or you feel the entire universe is you. These experiences have been possible for the sages who have lived thousands of years ago, and it is possible for every individual living at this point.
Guy here. Welcome to my Let It In podcast. My beautiful guest today, I welcome back to the podcast, Sri Preethaji, who is co-founder of the Oneness Movement. I'll just get my words right here, along with Sri Krishnaji. And honestly, the impact on the world these guys are having is phenomenal. They really are on a mission to awaken millions of people. I mean, all you need to do is go and jump to their website and take a look at the Ekam temple, the Oneness temple that they conduct their work from in India. It is mind-blowing. It's so beautiful. And it's just a joy to have Sri Preethaji on the podcast again, discussing the very things that are happening in the world right now and how that we have all the power we need within us and how we can conduct our own beautiful states within us. Let me know what you think of the podcast. As we go along through the conversation today, we dive into all these concepts, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And I love having people on the podcast that really encourage us to empower ourselves, that we are our own divine being within us. And once we know how to activate these tools and these states within us, we really can make a difference within our own lives and with other people's lives around us as well. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble now. Be sure to let me know where you are in the world watching this if you're on YouTube. And of course, we've got the HEARTT guide that's free. You can just print it out and pin it on your fridge. That's a great reminder as well to really start to explore the wonders of the heart. So all that's below. And of course, hopefully I get to meet you somewhere, someday in person at one of our events or retreats. Much love from me. Enjoy this podcast with Sri Preethaji, and I'll see you soon. Sri Preethaji, welcome back to the podcast.
So wonderful to be back with you, Guy Lawrence. And I remember last time it was a joy speaking with you and speaking to your audience. And I'm sure we'll have a great session today.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. I wanted to actually kick off the conversation and pick up something that I've been pondering on a bit from last time. And that was, you spoke about 81,000 people it would take to create a tipping point in consciousness. And there's two things that I wanted to ask you is, how would you define consciousness, and what would the world look like if or when we reach that 81,000 people? How would that affect mass consciousness?
Absolutely. What is consciousness first? Consciousness, there are two ways of looking at consciousness itself is a very vast subject. And I can give you two perspectives of it in the time that we have. One is consciousness is everything that exists. The whole entire universe is consciousness. It is mind, it is matter, it is energy. Everything is consciousness. But another reference that we use consciousness is, in terms of self, the sense of self that we experience. Consciousness is that sense of self that you experience. And how do you experience that sense of self? Are you feeling expanded at a given point in time? Or are you feeling constricted and limited? And our focus is on not limiting your experience to the I alone, but to expand that sense of I to include others, to include other lives, to include the vaster your experience of consciousness is, the more beautiful, more present, more joyful, more peaceful, and more calm you are. That is why Sri Krishnaji and I very specifically say that in a suffering state, whatever the color of suffering can be, I mean, suffering is a spectrum of colors, right? Whatever that suffering might be, in its very nature, suffering gives you a very small, constricted experience of the self, where the entire experience is revolving around that and I. It is limited, it is constricted, it is it is painful, it is it's it does not include others. Even if you're talking about fighting for justice in the world, and you are in the space of anger, because it is suffering state, the experience of the sense of self, the experience of consciousness is very, very, very limited. And the problem in the world that we see today is seeing a lot of people living in anxiety, living in depression, living feeling sad, living feeling irritated, constantly moving into that space of irritation, frustration, depression, anxiety, loneliness. And it is like constantly excluding everything else from your experience. And that experience where you're constantly separating yourself is in itself very, very, very painful. The sense of self or the experience of consciousness becomes very limited in a suffering state. And our vision is to expand your sense of self, include your children, include your parents, include your friends, your relatives, the community whom you're working with, the organization where you're working. To include and feel whole is what makes you feel whole and complete. And coming to the vision of 81,000 people, it is when you become free of suffering, you experience a vaster sense of self. And from that sense of vastness and that sense of inclusivity, you perform actions. You're not, idea of kindness is not, it's not a value in your head, right? When you include somebody, kindness is an outcome. It is not a value. Love is not a value that or an ideal that you need to adhere to. It's a natural opening of your heart chakra that happens. And you include so many people in your life. And love is a very beautiful outcome of that experience of vastness, kindness, care, love, joy, togetherness, nurturing relationship. All these are byproducts of your sense of self feeling expanded. And that is our vision. Our vision is to have 81,000 people live in an expanded state of consciousness, live in an enlightened state of consciousness free of suffering. And actually, we have, at least to begin with, we want 8 million people living in a beautiful state of calm, joy, love, connection, living that life in the everyday experience, taking that love, that joy, that connection, that gratitude, that appreciation in the everyday experience of life, rather than kind of holding it on as a value, as an idea, as an ideal. Um, that is, you're supposed to live that way. You're supposed to be loving. You're supposed to be kind. You're supposed to be caring. And that is not what we're talking about. That inner experience of togetherness, that experience of inclusivity is what allows love to flower, is what allows care, joy, connection, kindness to kind of flow through life. We're putting the cart before the wheel, right? When you're saying you have to be loving, you have to be caring. Probably that's a very fast food way of trying to deal with the world's problems, but it has really not helped. You need a consciousness that can go beyond yourself to experience love. And we see that when 81,000 people live in that profound state of consciousness, the impact that will create on humanity's consciousness itself will be very huge. There would be, right now, if it is tilted towards separation, alienation, conflict, and division, there would be a shift in humanity's consciousness towards great peace, love, joy, connection, togetherness. That is the shift that we are seeing that will happen when 81,000 people live in that enlightened state of consciousness. And that will be huge.
It'd be amazing, absolutely amazing. And that's the world I want to leave my children to look
Absolutely. I
forward
mean,
to.
for our children, for the future,
Yeah.
like we need to create a change. Otherwise, when we meet young children, young people across the world, they ask this question, what am I doing in my life? And they're depressed, they're separated, they're alienating themselves from life around them. But that is not the true experience of living. The true experience of living is when your consciousness has expanded, has become vast to include the other people in your life.
Yeah, I can so relate to that. So would it be fair to say then that it's a state of being, and was almost marinating in that state of consciousness, and as opposed to we are reaching for an external? Because I remember through my journey, when I first built my first company, it was all about goals, orientations, actually getting myself in certain states of rah 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 almost to go out and go after it, and then I'll be rewarded for my, I don't know, my linear life per se. It's almost like I feel like it's linear, but what I've been learning is that when you cultivate states of a sense of being or peace within, then these things tend to emanate out, and there's less force or less push to actually start to live life from a very different vantage point. I don't know if I'm explaining myself well here, but does that make sense?
In terms of goals and setting up the goals and then going towards the goals, and is what everybody is doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is not backing up these entire vision setting and the goal setting is one state. If you have the vaster experience of life, the same goal setting probably would happen, but you're driven by a greater purpose because you're feeling so connected, wanting to create that impact, wanting to create the difference in the world. That is the lack that has happened in terms of goal setting. That's why you see people getting burnt out. They run for a while and then say, no, this is not mine. And then the problem is not that it is not yours. The problem is your state is not conducive or helping you enough to kind of help you keep going towards that goal. If it is especially driven by from a place of suffering, from a place of lack, from an anger, or from a place of shame wanting to prove to somebody else, it is very short lived. That will not give you the drive, that will not give you the energy to go behind a particular goal or a particular vision. You need to have an incredible space and consciousness, a state of being that supports you, that kind of gets you connected, that allows you to be there day in and day after, allowing you to pursue that goal, seeing the difference, seeing the impact, seeing the impact that you're seeing, whatever it is. It could be impacting a little plant, or it could be impacting a forest, it could be impacting an individual, or it could be impacting a huge community, or a huge organization. But it is only in that space, again, just not mentally seeing it, actually in that space of connection to see, oh, this is, you have children, young children, guys, so it is like to feel them and to feel so connected to them as you hold them, to the impact of what your actions are, your responses are, how it is going to impact their lives. That is the vision. That is how vision has to be set. Unfortunately, right now it is more about numbers, more about I don't know what the parameters are at this point, but it has to be supported by your state, supported by your inner experience of where you feel vast, where you feel included. And that allows you to kind of pursue your goals, pursue your vision day in and day out without feeling burnt out.
Yeah, thank you. You said it so much clear, more clear than I could ever have said it. That's for sure. But no, it's exactly what I was trying to say. The you know, you mentioned my young children and things, and I look at these beautiful little humans, and they're just so innocent and so open and so ready to, you know, invite in adventure and the world around them. And it's just for me, they're almost my greatest teachers at the moment. They truly are.
Absolutely. I understand. I know that.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I guess when you speak of these beautiful states and this essence of being where we are in love, we are peace, like it's just a part of our essence. Is everything else the suffering then a conditioned state of being? Is that not a natural state? Because I know even in my life, growing up in Wales and living into life, I always felt there was an underlying tone of suffering, that my life is always going to be hard, and not actually knowing that all this is available to those that start to ask the question, who am I? And start to explore from that vantage point. And I would love you to speak to that a little bit, please.
Yeah. The experience, if you look at the experiences of life that we're having right now, to begin with, like the suffering that you're talking about, the unknown voice within you that you're talking about, it could be taken in from your experiences that you had earlier in your life, or it could be the experiences that is getting passed on from your ancestors, your parents, their experiences, grandparents. So generationally, the impressions gets passed on genetically, your cell memory, energetically, it is getting passed on, or it's getting passed on from your previous experiences that you've had in your previous lives. So it's just not this life, it is just not this experience. To believe that your life is just lived up to however old you are is an illusion. It is just a follow up, or it is just flowing from various forms, various realms, various experiences that you had, you or your ancestors. It's just a flow. Now, coming to that inner voice, if you look at the experiences that we have in our lives, like it could be, we can categorize it as an experience that is revolving around security, wanting to, or seeking and hungry for security, or seeking and hunger for pleasure, or hunger for control. The vast majority of lives on this planet are living only between these three experiences: wanting greater security, wanting more pleasure, wanting more control, and tying you up to different suffering states of feeling lack, feeling insecure, feeling disappointed, feeling hunger, feeling shame, feeling, every seeking at the underlying of it is a suffering state that is constantly keeping you tied up to. Because if you do not get the pleasure that you want, then you feel disappointed. If you're not able to control, if you're not able to have the control that you have, you become either an aggressive individual internally with anger, or you're feeling fearful. Or if you're not able to find the security or the stability that you're seeking for, you're getting tied up to feeling insecure and lonely and all that. So the vast majority of the population that is living life right now is caught up between these three experiences. And but humanity's experiences definitely is not limited to this. And luckily for us, we have the sages who have lived thousands of years ahead of us, who have meditated, who have kind of explored consciousness, pushed their boundaries of experiences beyond these three. Because if you're living your life only between these three experiences, it is very mundane. It is a chore. It is painful. It feels meaningless. It feels a lot of boredom. But when the sages have explored that, we are just not this limited being to be living life this way, but you are this beautiful soul capable of incredible love flooding your heart, or you are at this incredible soul capable of experiencing great stillness, great silence, experiencing incredible bliss, or experiencing states of being a witness, experiencing states of oneness where you feel that you are the entire universe or you feel the entire universe is you. These experiences have been possible for the sages who have lived thousands of years ago. And and it is possible for every individual living at this point now. So the journeys that Sri Krishnaji and I lead seekers into is actually pushing the boundaries from this limited experience. So when people come up to us and ask, I'm feeling bored, I'm feeling depressed, or I'm asking this question, what is the meaning of my life? What is the purpose of my life? For whose sake? What? When you're flooded with these questions, please know that you're only experiencing this tiny little experience of what is possible. You have the vast consciousness that you can explore. And even if you're able to fill your experience in that state of ananda or bliss or love flooding your hearts, you know, it is it is possible for everyone, and we lead seekers through into those experiences. And when they move into those powerful experiences in consciousness and immerse and soak in those experiences, then you know that there is a different experience possible that you have not explored, and you know that it is possible to live that life. It is possible to be in those states rather than being stuck to suffering, seeking security, pleasure. Not that it is I'm not saying that you should feel insecure or you don't need to feel stable or security. What I'm saying is that constant nagging hunger need not be there. How much of pleasure is enough? Like, you have this much pleasure, there is a dopamine high, but then you cannot experience that same high with the same amount of pleasure, right? If you want to quantify it, you need more, 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 more. But what you're seeking and longing for is that great joy. You're seeking for is that great love to fill your hearts. You're seeking for is to be in the present moment. As long as you are not experiencing life, as long as you are only torn between your past and your future and you're not able to be in the present moment, these questions around what is my life, why am I feeling bored, what is like, why am I living, or what is the meaning of it, these questions would not go until you live and experience life, right? So it is only in that experience of life these questions dissolve, but otherwise it is like a nagging part of your life. And as individuals, as human beings, we are incredibly uh, blessed to be able to have the other experiences also. And we need not limit our lives or experience of our lives to just seeking pleasure, stability, or security and control and domination. No, that should not be the reason for our life at all.
Yeah. No, that nagging feeling was something that was with me from as far back as I could remember, and kept me from settling down for a long time. Asking that question. So when we have these beautiful states that you speak of, and the sages and the mystics explored of stretching those boundaries, would it be fair to say then once we have that experience, there's a biological change that starts to happen in the body, that we can start to cultivate these states in our daily life so they become more part of our makeup, our nature, as opposed to we're just chasing an experience to have, as to.
Oh, absolutely. It is more like soaking up. I mean, and I always use this analogy. Like when you go to in India, there is this very popular sacred river called the Ganges, right? And people go from all over the world. Even in ancient India, like it was a part of their tradition to kind of go into. I mean, it is not easy to get there, but they still kind of went into this old city and they took a dip. And the idea behind that is to kind of get rid of or free yourself from the negative karmic influence in your life. I would say having to immerse in these specific states in consciousness, along with wisdom, and constantly being able to nurture these states. Just not a hi. I don't. I Me and Shri Krishnaji are not here. Like we're not looking at it just giving you a high and then making you get back to your old ways of living. Our vision is to help these states begin to interact with life. There is Right now, your suffering states are constantly interacting with life, but we want these powerful states of love, connection, and joy and appreciation to begin with. We call it as beautiful states. Even before we talk about enlightenment and enlightened states, we want these beautiful states to interact with your life. And as you are immersing in those states with the wisdom, with the practices, with the deep processes, and as you're constantly getting into those states, definitely your brain is changing. The memories that is there getting stored in your cells are changing. And then slowly it becomes a way of life. I think there's a
There
lag
is
in
a slight lag. That's okay.
Yeah. So, if right now, if most of us are living in suffering states, we can say the amygdala or the amygdala is kind of overactivated, and the hippocampus is constantly making memories of the experience again and again, intensifying that entire experience. But when you begin to practice, when you do reflections, when you do meditations, you're activating the prefrontal cortex region of your brain that allows you to bring greater awareness, greater calm, an experience of peace, an experience of stillness and silence and inner quiet that is possible. And then, as the third eye chakra, the third eye region gets activated, you become an unattached observer. You are able to allow the suffering, if it arises, to flow. You're not getting attached to every experience that is flowing in your heart. And all those experiences actually are changing the way you are relating, changing the way you're experiencing, you're responding, the decisions that you make, the actions that you perform. That is why when we say 81,000 people, imagine the 81,000 people living in a state that's free of suffering, and from that space, they are acting and responding to life. It carries in itself a very beautiful energy of love, energy of connection, energy of peace, energy of stillness, rather than, the other way. The other end of it is like this anger and fear and anxiety and worry and sadness, being let loose in the world, as opposed to calm, joy, love, connection being let loose in the world. And the impact of 81,000 people living in that state, free of suffering and feeling so connected and vast, and allowing those experiences to be let loose, that energy to be let loose, the impact will be very
It'd
huge.
be amazing. Is it possible
Do,
to?
do, do you want to kind of restart, Guy? Because I don't know if the lag is going to be
I,
this.
I'm
I
concerned
don't
if
know.
we hit stop because the end file will be fine because it's recording
Oh,
from your end and uploading.
okay, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the question I wanted to ask you then from that was, is it possible to live our life completely free of suffering at all times?
See, right now, if you say people are living 95 or 90s, I would say people are living in suffering and having a little pleasure here and there. I mean, a little love here and there, a little joy here and there. But like 90% or 80% of the time, one is living in insecurity, in sadness, in loneliness, in worry, in anxiety, in fear, in anger, in shame, in comparison, in conflict. And when you actually shift this whole thing, that is, if it becomes like, say, you do moving, something is happening in your life, the situations are not conducive to you, you move into suffering, you move into anger or fear. But you need to have the tools, you need to have the techniques, you need to have the wisdom, the reflection, and the meditations to help you walk out of suffering. Right now, what is happening is, saying an unfortunate experience is happening in your life, or a situation that you're not fine with is or you lost an opportunity, or something unforeseen has happened, then you tend to move into suffering. But then you get used to being in suffering. The situation has passed, but you have trained yourself, you have built the neural connections in your brain, the chemicals that is flowing out in your body, in your brain, all your organs are floating in stress hormones. It has become a way of life. And slowly it becomes moving into the suffering state, say anxiety or fear or anger. It becomes your natural way of life. It becomes your habitual state. It becomes your temperament because nobody has told you that it is so important to you, even if you want to create an external life beautiful, even if that is your focus and your inner world is not your focus. Even if you want to create a beautiful external life, it is extremely important that you free yourself from suffering
Yeah.
because your inner world and the external life is so connected. And if you're not going to free yourself from suffering, what is happening is you are creating similar situations, similar environment, similar people, similar experiences externally that keeps you or keeps that suffering stay the same. You want to be joyful, you want to be happy, so your focus is on the external. What we're trying to tell you is if your focus is on the external, you want to create an extraordinary life, have to work on yourself creating that joy. You begin to have that vision, and when you go through these powerful processes, and when you have the right wisdom, and you're able to throw the light of awareness on your suffering as and when it is arising, what happens is you don't stick to it. Right now, you're getting stuck to suffering, you're getting attached to suffering. That is what you know. Your loneliness is what you know. Your sadness is what you know. Your anxiety and your worry is what you know. And you're getting back to it again and again. You are so very attached to your suffering. And that changes. And when that changes, it is like a breather that has happened, right? There is a distance, there is a breathing space that you have created. And now when suffering does arise, I would say most of our followers across the globe, like when suffering does arise, they know what they need. They know that they cannot allow it to be buried under the carpet. They cannot run away from it. They cannot fix it with a new positive thought. They cannot try to hold on to a philosophical idea and say suffering is a blessing. They know what they have to do. They know that they should not be allowing that suffering to continue to become part of their inner experience. They bring attention to it. So it is like, and if you want to call it, for lack of words, I'm using it is the entire lifestyle. The wisdom, the meditations, the practices, the processes, the immersion into those powerful experiences in consciousness is that entire technology that we have developed so that to live free of suffering, to dissolve suffering as it arises, not to get caught in it, not to be enslaved by it, becomes a very normal, very everyday experience of life.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the words here to say, but it feels like there's you're transmuting it and being present with it and being true to what is. It's almost like getting to the
Yes,
heart of it, isn't it? Yeah.
absolutely.
On this question,
Right now,
please.
it's just a constant running away. I mean, if you look at the entire society, the way it is structured, and the way it is flowing, it is like constantly how do you run away from yourself? How do you escape yourself? How do you not be present to that which is arising in you? How do you constantly divert, distract, run? That has been how the entire society is being structured, and that is how, and that's why more and more loneliness, more and more depression, more and more meaninglessness that you see in the world.
What are the benefits do you find? You've been obviously teaching this a very long time, but actually bringing people together in and actually doing this work in a group environment as opposed to going it alone, because it's often perceived that when we lean into this work, people retreat to a cave or isolate themselves from whatever form of life it is. But on the other hand, I've found from my own personal experience, when I come together with other people and create a space together, so much more flourishes. I'd love to know what you
No,
think.
actually, when I lead the field of awakening experience, the 4-day retreat that I lead people all over the world, in different cities of the world. And when we have a huge group in the hall, and say the particular field of awakening, I'm leading them through an experience of causeless love. Um, it's it's like, one person's experience rubs off on the other. To believe that we are separate individuals is ignorance, though we are separate in our body, though we are separate by distance. But the truth is, we are one in our consciousness. And what we experience in that state of expansion actually impacts the other so beautifully. It is like the entire hall moves into this explosive love flooding their hearts. It moves towards people whom they know, whom they have brought, who's sitting next to them, whom they're familiar with. It is also palpable. They are able to transfer, they're able to feel or experience that love towards some stranger in the hall whom they've not even had an eye contact earlier, on whom they have never known in their lives. So it is like, that's why we call it a field of awakening. It's an entire field that has been created for them to be pushed into that state of causeless love. And that love is like palpable in everybody, people who understand, people who don't understand. But it is an experience that they are soaking in, and everybody moves into that particular state, or that particular state that we are leading them into. So it is such an incredible experience when you're doing it together. And even if you are connected or living in different spaces, if you are spread across different regions of the world, the manifest that I do is a 3-hour online program that I do every month on a Sunday. And people connect from all over the world. And they also, though they are separated by distance and everything, but they still feel the energy of so many people evolving and growing together. It is huge. The impact of the community, the impact of the group in the hall. It's incredibly huge how they are able to support each other in their journey. That is why the movement itself, uh, just not leading them into great experiences, just not teaching, just not leaving them with practices and reflections, but it is about that entire community that is living with a vision of wanting to live in a beautiful state, wanting to be free of suffering, moving towards enlightenment. That becomes the very experience of life, and every individual in the community kind of generates that light to others, holds them, because life is not easy, right? Like, you do face challenges, you do face problems, and it is so easy for you to get sucked in the old ways of thinking, old ways of living, moving into suffering again and again. But it is because of this entire ecosystem that is there to support you on your journey. People feel supported, held, people come forward, people hold you, meditate with you, journey with you, do a soul sync, do a serene mind, do a heartfelt practice. So they're constantly there to support you on whatever you need. And that, I feel, is incredibly powerful in terms of, it is just not a feel good experience that we want. We're not going to talk about a feel good food experience, or it's not about a feel living in a place of joy for like a couple of minutes. No, we want this to become your everyday life. We want these states to interact when you're bringing up your children, as you're relating to people in your organization, as you are thinking about your community or the world. We want these states to flow in. And that is our vision.
It's amazing. I keep saying the word amazing. I've noticed I've said it about 4 times through this interview already. I got to catch myself. But with those states of being, then, with, you've been teaching this for many years. Are you witnessing it more and more, the way humanity is going? Are you hopeful for our future, that more and more people are taking responsibility for themselves, their own states of being, and also then that's rippling out into the collective? What?
I would say we are in a fork. Like, on one side, we feel a very huge. We feel that the world is in a fork where it can either move this way or that way. It's a like, and it is important. And how do you create a very constructive, a very beautiful world for us, for our children, for our grandchildren, is when scores of people are able to move into states free of suffering. If you're feeling separated and conflicted, that separation, that conflict flows out in your everyday experience of life. And that needs to change, and that has to change from within. Comparing to what we saw in the world for the say the last 20 years ago to what we are seeing the last few years, is spirituality is not getting limited to very few people's lives. Earlier it was only about a seeker, somebody who's seeking a quest or has a quest around life, or their true nature is those people who have seeked or who have sought spirituality earlier. But right now we see spirituality becoming integrated into everyday experience of life. People are tired. People want to change. People want to create a beautiful life. People want to create a beautiful experience of life for the family, and they see that, you know, slowly there is a greater awareness that it has to happen from within, and they want to live a peaceful, calm, joyful life. And for us, spirituality getting integrated into a normal experience of life is the key to creating a very beautiful world.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you.
That
And
is, it's not about a few people living in the Himalayas, living in the Vindhyas or the mountains, like, who sought for it, and they alone living in this profound consciousness. That is definitely not sufficient.
yeah, no, it's not. Not at all. Not at all. I noticed as well, I was going through your website this morning in preparation, and you spoke about on the website the 12 chakra system. And I was hoping you wouldn't mind touching on that because obviously, to common belief, most people know of the seven, or I'm sure they are if they're listening to this podcast anyway. But please.
The manifest journey that I was speaking about earlier, the 3 hour online mystic process that I lead for people around the world, happens every Sunday, is actually focused on free or opening up that chakra potential. So, to make it a little more, to elaborate on it, our bodies, you are more than the physical body. You know that. You are the energy body, the mind body, the karmic body, the wisdom body, and the bliss body. So there are different layers. It's like sheets. So when we talking about the pranic body itself is a vast world in itself, like 72,000 nerve currents flowing, and the chakras are that point where these nerve currents are coming together. It looks like in the mystic plane, it looks like a wheel. That's why it's called a chakra. And there are many chakras. And in the manifest mystic journey, uh, the focus is on the mystic process is to open up that particular potential in you. So when these chakras vibrate at the right frequency, it is opening up that particular blessing to flow into your life.
Mm.
To make it very simple and understandable, and I know many people are familiar with the heart chakra, the Anahata chakra. When this chakra is not in the pranic body, when this chakra is not vibrating well, why it is not vibrating well could be many reasons. Your experiences, the way you have breathed, the what you have eaten, like innumerable factors flow into you and say something has happened by which this chakra is not vibrating well. When this heart chakra is not vibrating well, the experience of love is very limited in your life. So when the experience of love is very limited in your life, you are probably wanting to experience love in your life, but you are incapable of it. And how this interacts into your life is you're also going to bring a person into your life who's not going to make you experience that love. That's I want everyone to have a vaster picture of what life is. Your body, your thoughts, your emotions, your chakras, your experience, interacting with life, and the life throwing up those experiences back. So, so you are somebody who's constantly seeking love in your life, and you are so limited because of this chakra not vibrating well. And and similar experiences of separation or rejection constantly keeps flowing in your life. So the manifest journey is about opening up that chakra potential, allowing that chakra to vibrate in its frequency, freeing that chakra or that space in your consciousness from all the suffering that has got accumulated, and then opening up your life to receiving the blessing of love. So each chakra is about creating a particular blessing to flow into your life. And that is what this manifest journey is about. It is about the chakras being cleansed, freeing these chakras of the suffering states, creating a field, because each chakra, it is an interaction, right? Your heart field is around you. So the field is constantly interacting. So these chakras are creating a field, and allowing these chakras to vibrate at the right frequency opens up your life to receiving that blessing. So it is manifest, as it stands for manifesting a blessing into your life.
It's very different to the materialistic manifesting that sometimes we hear of, right? That it's actually
Yes,
working internally, opening up, clearing, and then really allowing the universe to prevent things that are in alignment with us. That's what it feels like.
absolutely. It is. I mean, right now, it's of course the popular thing is manifesting by visualizing, but if the state is not conducive for it, if your pranic energy body is not conducive for it, if your mind body is not conducive for it, these are like your stone walls. The universe wants to bless you, but you have created this stone wall of not wanting to receive that particular blessing because of the state that you are in. So these manifest journeys focuses on 12 different chakras, each one for a particular potential, each one to receive a particular blessing, and opening up and by allowing these chakras to vibrate at the right frequency, freeing up the suffering, and receiving the blessing is the focus of this manifest journey. And anywhere we go, whatever we do, we know that unless until you become free of suffering, you're not going to receive any blessings. As long as you're living in separation and disconnection and alienation, it is going to be the pretty similar world that you're going to experience. So that is why whatever we do, we bring attention on one's state and one's life. And anybody who wants to start the spiritual evolution and a spiritual journey, Manifest is such a beautiful place, because it is great for beginners. It's great for, pros in spirituality who have done a lot of practice. It's beautiful, very, very beautiful.
Yeah, it sounds it, and it truly is change your inner world to change your outer world, which I think is the take home message for that, which is how we are definitely not taught or conditioned to in any shape or form. Yeah. So a couple of other questions I wanted to ask you before we wrap up the podcast as well is with consciousness, and it's a deeper question, but it's something I ponder on as well, is that our consciousness live on when we pass, when we die? What are your thoughts around these concepts?
You're asking a very intense question
I
now.
know.
Consciousness does not die. All that exists is existing. All that happens is changing forms from one realm to another realm. That's why when I say you're a continuation,
Yeah. Yeah.
and uh, and the very purpose of this continuation would be to free yourself from suffering. You don't want to continue with the same anger with which you lived in your earlier lives, or same fear, or same sadness, or same guilt. We have seen people when they go through these deep processes, how this experience is so connected to their past experiences, and either in recent past or earlier past or past in terms of family. That is why we feel like we don't want suffering to continue. We don't want suffering to continue from generation to generation. It has to be freedom from suffering. It has to be liberation and freedom that you need to experience. And that we see is the very purpose of one's life and living.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Do you, we've covered a lot of ground today. I can't believe we've been there going for 50 minutes already. I just, tying this up, there's a couple of questions after you. Are we going to expect to see you back in Australia at any stage?
Definitely, it's on cards, and I think in 2025, I was there in March. I'm not going to be in 2026. That's not in the calendar, but I think in 2027, I will be back again.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. And is there anything you would like to leave the listeners to ponder on from everything that we covered today? If somebody might be in a suffering state right now, while listening to
See,
this.
to start, I mean, when we want this to be a starter for your spiritual evolution. And the way you start, even if you have to take one thing out of this conversation, learn to have a spiritual vision, a vision for your inner state. You're focused on the external, you believe by making the external right, you'll become happy, but that is not the right combination. You need to kind of work on your inner state, live in a beautiful state, and thereby create a very beautiful life externally, which is very peaceful, calm, because there you are letting loose into the universe your state. And that is why you start off with a spiritual vision, a vision for your inner experience. You don't want to live in sadness and continue to create wealth. We don't want you to live in feeling disconnected and raise a family. That's not how it has to be done. So work on your inner experience, hold a vision, and you will find all the tools. It's there. You can do the soul sync meditation, you can do the serene mind practice, you can join the manifest. So whatever, wherever you want to start, it is important that you start to nurture a beautiful state in your consciousness and nurture it again and again and again, and it would change. The ecosystem would change, the chemistry would change, the neural connections would change, and you would see it is becoming easier for you to live in that state of calm and peace again and again.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'll make sure the links are in the show notes for people if they want to find out more. But can you say where's the best place to send them? What's the website?
Yeah, the one is theonenessmovement.org. That will be the
Onenessmovement.org.
best place where you can find all the information.
Yeah, beautiful. Sri Preethaji, I just want to say thank you so much. I know how busy you are, and it's wonderful to spend some time with you and record a podcast like this. And I have no
It's
doubt.
always a joy speaking with you, Tyler. It's and always the questions are very different and very much from the heart. So it's easier for me to kind of, put across where
Yeah,
you want, what you want for your audience and what we can offer.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Namaste.